Baton Rouge stand up. You know who it is. Anthony Parker coming to you from the Parker Daniels Show. We have a guest on here today. His name is Jamil, all the way from the Big Apple, New York City. We're going to talk to you today about seeing eye dogs. He's a totally blind individual, and we're going to get his viewpoint on seeing eye dogs versus using a cane and why he chose what he has chosen. Before I go any further, I want to say continue to subscribe to the Parker Daniels Show. You're doing us some great justice. Hit the notification bell so you can get the updates, my friend. And also share, like, comment, tell everyone about the new show that's just taking over the airwaves and just taking the whole YouTube by storm, if I may say that. And I also want to give a big shout out to my co-host, Kim Daniels. I want to give a shout out to those individuals close to me who are giving me the support and continue to work with me. So now that I've gotten that out the way, I always do a little interlude and whatnot. I want to thank everyone for watching. We're gonna go to Jamil. He's gonna, as I mentioned earlier, talk about his seeing eye dog and how he chose this dog, the training and all that. So without further ado, as I turn down the music, my friend, Jamil, are you with me?
Yes, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Say hello to the audience first of all.
Hey, audience. So great to be here on this show. This is my first time being interviewed.
Really? You're gonna do all right.
Mess it up,
So what we want to do, as you've seen some of the episodes, talk to you, give us a brief history about your life, how you had come up as a blind person, and we're gonna walk your way. We're gonna walk you through the other portions till we get to the main focus. So you have the flow.
Sure, my friend. So I was born in South America in 1984, and I was born with ROP, and I'm not sure what that really stands for. So, but basically, I was born premature, and they put oxygen and it went in my eye, so it burned my retina. So I was able to see out of my left eye for a while. So I wasn't born blind. It was just something an unfortunate accident that happened in South America. And anyway, my mom brought me to the States. We came back and forth, from Ecuador to Florida, back to Ecuador, things like that. And then in 1989, we settled in Burnside, the Bronx, Burnside Avenue. And eventually we moved with a family who took us in. And then after that, my mom, she met a guy and got married to him. And then we lived with him. And then we brought my sisters along.
Okay. Continue. Tell us about your experiences as a blind person. Did you receive any support from your family, or you just had to handle this all by yourself?
Oh, well, since I was, with my mom most of the time, I really don't remember, as a kid in South America, how it was. I'm pretty sure, because I was able to see a little bit out of my left eye, they treated me, like anybody else. I would go outside and play with everybody. I would run around, with the vision that I had. So it wasn't a big deal. They knew I was blind, it wasn't something that they didn't know, but they never made it a big deal. And we didn't know anything about Braille. We didn't know anything about, things like that. Like, I'm sure it's getting better in South American countries, but, before there were not many opportunities for people like me. So that's why my mom decided to come here to the States. And, she did what she could for me. And, it was nice of her to do that. I definitely did appreciate that.
Okay, and do you like United States?
I love it. This country has done beautiful, wonderful things for me. I mean, because of America, I have a place of my own to live. I can go out on my own, get a job if I so choose to do so, and I have the opportunity to be educated. And this is the land of opportunity.
Okay, glad you stated that. So as we continue. As far as the training that you received as a blind person, tell us about those trainings.
Okay, so I basically, when I was in elementary school, we would always trail the wall to kind of know where we're going. And of course, I mentioned that I had a little bit of sight. And eventually, they were like, "Hey, you guys should use a cane." And I was like, "What is this?" And they were saying it's basically something you can use to get around with easier. And I did, and I got used to it, and it it was nice. It was, instead of treading on the wall, and sometimes, you can bump into somebody if you're not careful, or if you're walking too fast or whatever. They trained me with the cane with mobility, and I got pretty good at it. Although I wasn't, crossing streets yet at the time. I was able to navigate my way around the school with the cane and the little vision that I had.
Okay, so you used the cane for how many years?
I used the cane till I was till I was in my early 20s, and in my early 20s is when I got my first guide dog.
That's what we want to talk about. Now, tell us about that. What you had to go through in order to get, to get the training, and just fill us all in, because I'm still unaware of certain situations as well. So let the people know about the training.
Sure. So I got my first guide dog in Guiding Eyes for the Blind. It's a school in Westchester, I believe. And it took a while for me to get in, because when I was in college, they called me for a dog. Because what they do is they put you through like an interview process. They want to know how you can travel. So you have somebody who goes to your neighborhood. And at the time I was living with my mom. So they had somebody go to your neighborhood and say, okay, how well do you travel? How can you cross the streets? And, they want to make sure that they can pair you up with a good dog. And they want to make sure that, you're able to travel on your own pretty much, or navigate around, in a good way, so that you don't bump into things, or even if you do, but like getting around, you know what I'm saying?
So the main focus they want to find out first is if you are a good mobility traveler, because they weren't just going to release a dog or have you train with the dog, just, any Joe Blow. So that was the main focus. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Because I doubt that they would give a dog to somebody who doesn't know how to travel at all. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think they're about, giving a dog to somebody who doesn't know how to travel at all. Because that's what these dogs do. They you travel with them, and they navigate you through, different obstacles that are, in your way. It's teamwork,
And that makes sense, because I was not aware of situations such as, like, I really thought that I knew you had to have some mobility, but I kind of thought, as well as maybe a lot of other people, that the dog had a tendency to know exactly where to take you and whatnot. So it's information to me, because I didn't know that you also had to be have to have great mobility skills in order to know where you need to go, and all the dog has to do is just point out obstacles and make sure that you don't hurt yourself. So that's interesting. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, and also to make another point, dogs do have good memorization skills. So like if you've been to the bank before and you know that that's where you want to go, and you pretty much point the direction of that area, he'll take you right to that door. So they do have good memorization skills. But as I said before, it's teamwork. Because sometimes he's like, okay, if you don't know where you're going, how am I supposed to?
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, but I have been in situations where if I use the cane, I would be kind of lost. But when I have a dog, I know where I'm going, because he would take me sometimes, like twists and turns, you know what I mean? And we would always end up at the right place in some cases, So again, it's not to say that they don't have good memory skills, because they definitely do. And if they've been there before, they'll definitely take you there again. But a lot of it is teamwork.
Okay. So how long were the sessions, and how were they able to determine that you get this dog, that dog, and how do they determine, maybe you can answer that, which dogs are best bred for guiding? So if you can answer those, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so definitely, like as I said before, before you do the training process, they do the interview to make sure you're good, and then once you get in the school, they'll put you in a door, like a kind of a dormitory, it's like the dog school, and you'll stay there for about, I believe it's almost a month. So you get like 3 weeks or 4 weeks to train with the dog. They pair you up with the dog by testing your speed. So when you do the training from your house, they basically say, okay, he's this kind of a walker, things like that. So
right.
they usually pair you with black Labradors or golden lab mix or golden retrievers or German shepherds.
Okay.
So those are usually the dogs that you'll end up getting. And you do the training process, you have, they put you in different situations in different areas. Like they put you in city areas, they put you in like country, rural areas, like, where there's no sidewalk, where it's mostly grass and road,
Right.
So they'll put you in these situations with your dog to see how well you work with your dog.
Okay. And how long was your training?
My training at Guiding Eyes was about almost 4 weeks, almost a month.
Was there any time, or are there any times where the dog is doesn't cooperate, or just doesn't want to do anything, on a particular day, or
Yeah, there would be days, where the dog would be easily distracted. There would be days where the dog would do more sniffing than, doing what he's supposed to do, But then in that case, you have to, correct the dog and, get him in the right track. I mean, I guess, like, whether he wants to work or not, he's going to have to do it. It's like, sometimes we don't want to get up and do what we got to do, but we got to go do it, So it's just kind of like that.
So, for those who want to know, at what point, because I was told that that you can't really pet the dogs and things of that nature. At what point are you able, like somebody like me, I want to come up and pet the dog? At what point can I do it, or can I not do it, or it's against the policies? Or you let us know about that.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of it has to do with the owner and what he allows to happen. Me, I don't allow people to pet my dog while he's working. If he's working, don't touch him, unless like it's a little kid, because I feel like little kids, they're very impressionable. They never, it's hard for them to see a dog, like walk around with somebody. So, you remove the harness. If somebody says, oh, can I pet your dog? You take off the harness, because that means he's not working when the harness is off. Right. And then, you can ask, they say, oh, can I pet your dog? And like, sure, no problem, But always ask before you do it. Don't just, reach out and just like, touch the dog and,
Gotcha.
Little kissing faces and distract them,
Gotcha. So how long basically does the partnership last between the dog and the owner? Excuse me.
I would say it's pretty much a never-ending partnership. Even when you retire the dog, he's still gonna, love you and look for you, But usually depends on the person. Like if you're asking how long do you work the dog, it just depends on whether the dog has health issues. It depends on what year you choose to retire him. Like I believe that I'm gonna retire my dog when he's 9 years old, because I want him to enjoy life. I don't want him to spend the rest of his life working only and working. I want him to, be in a place where he can, run free and, just be a happy dog.
So when you retire the dogs, do you give them away, or you just keep them?
That's pretty much up to you, because there are schools that they say, okay, once you're done with him, we'll take him back. But then there are some schools that give you ownership of the dog, and then it's up to you to decide, okay, I'm going to keep him or I'm going to give him away. But of course, it's always best, in my opinion, to let the school know what you're doing with him or her.
So how's that determined? Is it beforehand, or what?
The ownership, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ownership, like, for example, Guide Dog Foundation, the other school I went to, they say, would you like ownership of your dog? And you say yes or no, and then you sign the papers pretty much saying that you're the owner of the dog. I think Guiding Eyes, they do a year or two. They say after a year or two, they say, would you like ownership now? And, I guess because they want to determine whether you'd be a good owner or not, So
that ought to be a sad moment for those who want, who retire their dog and then send it back to the school, because you've developed a bond with them. So I probably, I don't know. That's a hard choice to make, because you don't want to keep too many dogs, but then you don't want to let them go as well. But I don't know. It's not too easy to really make that decision, though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Like, it's people. I mean, I would, I more think about my dog. So it's like, because where I live, I don't have a backyard.
Yeah.
I want him to be in an area where he can run around in the backyard. But what I do is I'm in contact with his puppy raisers, which are the people who pretty much train with the dog before the dog gets to you, and she was nice enough to give me her number. So once my dog retires, I just say, okay, now that my dog is retired, you can take him, and I can always visit him and see him when I want, or she can always bring him by.
That'll work right there, because you still have contact with them. I had asked another person about how protective are the dogs with their masters, with their owners, and whatnot. How protective is yours?
It really depends on situations. Like, I know my dog knows that I can handle myself, so he's pretty cool. There are some dogs who really don't like people messing with their owners. I think my dog is too laid back for that. But it doesn't mean that he cares about me less or anything like that. I think he knows that I can handle my own. But I mean, I've never been in dangerous situations where I can really answer that. I hope I won't be in situations like that. But I would like to think that he would definitely be there to protect me.
And are there special places that you are not able to take your dogs, or are they just all open to everywhere?
Everything is theoretically supposed to be open to your dog. I mean, churches, because they're not government owned, they're not a business or government owned. They're private buildings. If they say no dogs, then you can't bring your dog to a church. But a bar, I mean, I would suggest against like really loud, noisy places to bring your dog, because the loud noise may hurt their ears.
Right.
So like if you're at a bar or if you're at like a party, you might want to leave your dog home or leave him with somebody that can care for him.
Oh, okay. So have you ever been in a situation where you had to leave your dog at home, or with somebody maybe?
Yeah, I when I used to work for a day in I think it was a place in Manhattan. Because they didn't have a kennel or anything, I told my mom, hey, watch my dog for me while I do this work for a day. And she did it, and she took him out to a little backyard, when he had to pee and things like that. And I would work for a day. Of course, I would periodically check on her and say, hey, how's the dog doing? I would call her every half hour, how's the dog, just to make sure that he's okay.
Right. So in your own words, what you've had the experience of dealing with a dog and having a cane, which one would you prefer?
I mean, honestly, that there are positives and negatives to both, and here's why I say this. Okay, with the dog, it's pretty much a smooth travel, in my opinion. And it doesn't mean that people with canes don't walk faster than me, because I'm sure they do. But for me, I personally prefer a dog because, as I said, it's a much smoother travel. It's teamwork. You've got some kind of company. Now with the cane, I respect, because there are people who are quick walkers with the cane and they manage to get around nicely. And see, sometimes the dog, they can be stubborn. So sometimes when you want to go a certain way and he's not really following directions, it's kind of making you look stupid. You know what I mean? So I mean, but that depends on the dog though, because there would be when I used to live in a really bad neighborhood. We would be walking along the sidewalk and he would just stop short. And I'm like, why is he stopping? Is there something in my way? Usually he would stop if there's something in the way, but there was nothing there. So he was just stopping because he didn't want to go back the same way he came. So he was just kind of being difficult. You know what I mean? I mean, my dog is the only one who does, as far as I know. But, but with the cane, the good thing about the cane is that there's a lot of detail that you can pay attention to. You know what I mean? So with the cane, it's nice because you get landmarks that are tactile. So that's a good thing about the cane, as opposed to the dog.
Definitely.
You just walk.
Well, I definitely use a cane. I have a lot of friends that have guide dogs and whatnot. I respect them, and also probably the dogs could serve as a sense of company for those who don't have too many friends or no one in their lives. So that also can work in that capacity as well. But Jamil, you were very versed. You educated me, and I'm quite sure you educated a great many of your audiences of the audiences and whatnot, man. Because a lot of people didn't know too much about the guide dogs and how they operate. And I really thank you for coming on this show and giving us your version and the reason why you chose to work with a guide dog. Before I conclude, is there anything that you would like to say?
No, I just want to thank you, my friend, so much for the opportunity for letting me come on and tell my story. Now, before I wrap it up, I just want to say that this is my story, and it doesn't mean that that I'm the representation of every blind person or anything. I just represent myself and how I do things. It's like when you flip meat, some people use a double spatula, some people use one. It doesn't matter. It's getting done the same way. So I just feel like we can't generalize. Just because I do it some way, we shouldn't all do it that way, Right. So, again, this is my version of the story,
and that's
maybe
what
there's better out there.
I'm getting different viewpoints and whatnot. So it's all going to mesh together because no one person has the same reason why they do certain things, and that's how it is in life, though. But definitely, you were well educated on what you were talking about, and that's what I like. So before I conclude, off the cuff, because I said, is there anything you want to say in your native tongue to the females out there? First say it in English and then say something in Spanish, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, go ahead.
So to the ladies, I'm single. and definitely looking, you know what I mean? But, obviously, there's, wonderful things, that we, to me, it's not just about finding anybody. I want to find somebody who, we can basically have quick and, good dialogue, you know what I'm saying?
And on that same token, someone that loves dogs, because he's not gonna give up his guide dog. Is that right?
No, no, not at all. It's like, I wouldn't ask you to give up your kid.
That's right. That's right. So tell everybody in Spanish, continue to support the Parker Daniels Show. Say that.
A ver, mis amigos y mis amigas de Latinoamérica, ojalá que ustedes continúen a soportar el espectáculo de Park y Daniel.
Man, this is my partner. This is my boy, man, for real. He has great spirit and whatnot. And I want to thank you all for continuing to support the Parker Daniels Show. Subscribe. What else? Comment. Hit the notification bell, because we're going to bring you shows like this from all walks of life. And again, Jamil, thank you for tuning into the show. Thank you for coming on. And we're going to continue to work. If there's anything we can do for you in the future, we have numbers and everything. We're gonna keep up with you and see how everything is progressing. And tell everybody what's your dog's name. I'm sorry.
So my dog, well, I mean, I give him different names when I'm out in public, because it's never a good idea to give your dog their real name, because what if somebody walking by, So his name is Trenton, but I always mess with people. I always say, oh, my dog is named Saddam. My dog's name is this and this. Okay. So I always give them different names when I'm out.
Okay, that's a good thing. Very good thing. So with that being said, you all, again, thanks for subscribing to the Parker Daniels Show. My name is Anthony Parker, and I'm out.